It's been a month since Anthem's early launch released, and the community finally started to see the game and break it down piece by piece, splitting most of the community with both hyperbole and fair critique. This week has been heavy on the loot front, with loot changes starting to hit the servers and the math hammer being brought down on top of not just the loot drop rates, but how effective loot is in practice for the endgame. Official drop rates for both Masterworks and Legendaries this week have been vastly increased, which if you're still playing, you should have noticed over the weekend. Though personally, I didn't notice much difference when playing Legendary contracts, at least when it came to Masterworks. I did notice a much larger difference when it came to Strongholds, with Elite and Legendary mobs dropping loot far more often. This is good to see, and fixes partially one of the issues that has been uncovered last week, with free play having far higher drop rates, if you avoid all the world quests and focus on fighting random yellow barred mobs, primarily entering side dungeons that have a high chance to spawn elite enemies. In theory, now all these activities should be more balanced with rewards, with an overarching increase, though it will take some time to work out how large this change has been. Another good step towards making the endgame feel more rewarding at least. Unfortunately, this fixes one quality of life issue, while another door has just opened. Is any of the loot actually good? This goes much deeper than it appears on the surface, with the more vocal concerns around, a lack of diversity in items, inscriptions being irrelevant, and having no way to compare stats or builds. Instead, a far deeper and more fundamentally troubling issue has been discovered by Reddit user Temperhoof. This post goes into detail covering the maths behind your gear score in Anthem, and essentially how this by far is the most important value, over any nuance you want from inscriptions, armor, health, or even unique ability inscriptions. I'll let you read the full post if you want with the complete breakdown, but fortunately they did make a nice TLDR to make the basics easier to understand. Your gear score in Anthem applies a damage multiplier, that outscales by a long way any regular ability damage you'll be able to stack. The game uses your average gear score level, not the total score, which is why you might have seen advice to remove your support ability to boost damage, because there are no Masterworks or Legendary support items in the game just yet. This scaling power doesn't apply to everything, just the two factors that have no specific gear, each Javelin's melee item and their ultimates. If you want to try this for yourself, it will take a bit of time, but all you need is a Legendary item in as many slots as you can manage, with weapons, then abilities being your main contributors. When you hit between 4 to 6 equipped legendaries, you should be able to melee almost any enemy bar some of the bosses in only a few hits, or use your ultimate to kill literally everything on the screen, which easily includes the boss. These combinations are what cause the Interceptor to become a melee powerhouse in the endgame, as they can spam the melee attack the most. All Javelins will have incredibly effective ultimates, so you want to stack reduction components if you can. While this is interesting as a build concept, and a theory crafting is impressive, this whole concept underlines the whole endgame progression. Tailoring for any particular build or skill style is irrelevant. Just equipping whatever legendaries you have, regardless of what they do, is the priority in terms of dealing damage. With the loot changes that Bioware just added, everyone playing will hit this point far quicker. To deal with this flaw, Anthem needs a complete overhaul when it comes to the background calculations of gear, which needs to take priority over almost any other aspect when it comes to gear. This in theory is being corrected in the next patch, but the solution just seems to remove one part of the issue. Stacking legendary items under these conditions will still be the clear best choice for raw damage output, though until it drops no one can really confirm if this will fix it, but until then, go melee everything into oblivion, once you get your legendaries at least. With the main controversy for the week out of the way, it looks like Anthem has started adding unique scars to the game. These images were taken by Anthem Insider, who you should really be following if you're interested in Anthem. These unique scar seem to be event-style enemies, much like the Ash Titans we've seen before, but don't have a special challenge associated to them, indicating an incoming change, perhaps related to the first complete event as part of the roadmap. They do also count as high-level yellow mobs, so have an increased chance to drop loot. To end today, I wanted to cover two rather serious points that related to the community within Anthem as a whole. You may have noticed, especially on places like Reddit, that the key devs that responded to the community all the way back in E3 last year have declined significantly. The reason for this is disappointingly not a surprise, and the fact that it needs to be said is one of the worst sides of the gaming culture. Since the game's release, and including the run-up from the beta access, the developers have been receiving huge amounts of negative comments, which when given in a constructive format is great. However, many cross the line into abuse and harassment. This just isn't acceptable by anyone to anyone in the games industry. You can bash the company, critique the game and provide feedback in multiple forms, but do not attack the developers, especially personally. The second point is to highlight how this should be done, through the official EA channels such as the EA forums, which I'll link below. Here you can provide feedback directly to the team that can be used to make the game better. We all know Anthem needs work, and I think The Division 2 shows us where these faults lie, as it shows the style of content we want in Anthem. Clear goals set on a map, missions that you can go to in the open world, rather than reloading instances constantly, with gear that is clear on its stats and benefits. Its combat isn't on the same level as Anthem's, but I think they can learn much from each other. To end today, I wanted to show off one of the amazing creations from the community, this Storm artwork by Monster Hesh on Reddit. I love this art style and hope we see more. There are loads of other members of the community showing what they love in Anthem, despite its issues. And that's about it for this week in Anthem. It's clear Anthem has made steps forward in the last few weeks, but there still remains many glaring issues, and as such, I'll be focusing my Anthem content primarily on the lore, with my coverage of the Legion of Dawn dropping later this week, finally. As always, you can find links to everything I spoke about today in the description below, and I'd love to hear your opinions on anything Anthem in the comments section too. Until next time, I've been Dantir, thanks for watching.